Hello, and welcome to the BYU Family History webinar series. I'm Marin, and I'll be your host for this webinar. We'd love to know where you're listening from and how you heard about today's webinar. You can enter that into the polls on the left side of the screen. Our next webinar will be on Friday, August 17th at 4 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, and that will be with James Tanner. He's giving a presentation entitled A Family History Mission, Digitizing Records for Family Search. Also, if you've noticed, we've added a new announcement. We've added new links to our website so you can view our videos without having to get on YouTube. So if you need a video in a church building or a place where YouTube is blocked, you just can go to our website and it's under past webinars where all of the links of the videos are. If you click on any link, that should bring you to a page that has the YouTube video just embedded into the page. And if you scroll to the very bottom, it'll have a little link that will say having trouble viewing video. And then that'll bring you straight to the video that's available to watch without YouTube. And for today's webinar, we're having a presentation from Katy Barnes. Katy Barnes is a senior researcher and recruiting manager for Legacy Tree Genealogists. She has a bachelor's in family history and genealogy from Brigham Young University and has presented at several genealogy conferences nationwide in the last 5 years. When not fulfilling management duties for Legacy Tree, she conducts research specializing in immigration, family narratives, Latin America, the broad United States, Ireland, and the UK, and is also a part of Legacy Tree's editing team. She also maintains a personal project relating to the identification and extraction of pre-Civil War enslaved persons from the southern United States probate records. Katy's non-genealogical hobbies include reading, music, travel, being a foodie, and snowboarding with her husband, Chase. And as we're getting things set up, I'll just bring your attention to the left side of the screen. If you have any questions, they'll go in the questions box. We will address all questions at the end of the presentation. And you're welcome to make any comments or insights at the bottom of the left side of the screen in that box. We'd love to hear your thoughts throughout the webinar. Thank you so much, and I'll turn the time over to Katy.
Thanks, Marin. I'm really excited to be here. As a BYU Family History grad myself, I have a lot of enthusiasm about the program and about helping budding genealogists get into the industry if that's what they're interested in doing. I'll be speaking today specifically from the perspective of working for a professional genealogy company as a researcher. This is intended to be a generalized look at working for a professional genealogy company, though I will be speaking from the perspective of a Legacy Tree employee specifically, since that's what I know, obviously. This is just a caveat that other companies may have slightly different operational processes or requirements than what I discuss here, but this should be just a good general overview so that you know what you're getting into. Step one of, a brief intro about Legacy Tree. I got ahead of myself. Real quick, just so you know where I'm coming from, we were founded in 2004 by another BYU Family History alumna, Jessica Taylor. For a while, she was the sole researcher, project manager, did everything, but we have grown over the years. We currently have 22 employees, which includes full and part-time salaried benefited employees. We have around 22 contract researchers who work a little bit more flexibly and independently, and hundreds of contract on-site researchers in foreign countries and other U.S. states. So we're growing. We like to have a lot of resources and a broad network of talented staff for our clients. One of the perks of Legacy Tree specifically is that everyone works remotely. We all work from home. We love flexibility. We care a lot about our employees' work-life balance and families. I believe other genealogy companies are now starting to offer this more frequently, but we were kind of the originals. We've been doing it since day one of our company, and we're very well adjusted to that and to helping people manage that lifestyle. Finally, we have a 4.9 out of 5-star composite rating on the Better Business Bureau. So all in all, our clients are very satisfied with the work that we do, and we're all very passionate about it. To get into what you do as a professional genealogist and what you need to do to prepare for it, it's first important to understand why people hire professionals in the first place, especially in comparison to just hiring a freelancer. When there are several reasons. First, that most people obviously are learning about their family. And most of our clients are non-genealogists. This means that they're either really low-level hobbyists or they have no genealogy experience whatsoever. And they're looking to hire somebody to do aspects of it for them. That may be because they don't have time, they may lack the skills necessary, especially if it's a difficult case, or they may just be interested in knowing about their heritage or ethnicity, but they don't have a lot of interest in the process itself and doing it. And so it's just easier to pay somebody to help them with it. Another big reason is breaking through brick walls. A lot of people, especially hobbyists, can get stuck, especially if you're doing Southern US research, which can be notoriously difficult. Foreign research, just a tricky ancestor that maybe changed his name or immigrated and not sure where he went. That's something that we are all trained and experienced at figuring out. Sometimes we have clients who just want their research validated. They may have spent years working on projects, working on ancestors, and they just want to make sure that everything they've done is correct, maybe before they publish it for a family reunion or before putting it online or something like that. Tying into the brick walls, sometimes people have language barriers, especially if you are an American and your ancestors came to this country multiple generations ago from a country whose language you no longer speak. It can be difficult to conduct appropriate research on that family if you can't speak the language. So our team has numerous employees and contractors who can speak and read a variety of different languages. That is a good way to prepare to become a good genealogist, is to have something like that in your back pocket as well. DNA analysis is a huge part of what we do these days. We have tons of clients who reach out to us for help discovering their biological family, maybe solving non-paternal events in their family tree. Maybe great-grandpa had a different father than we expected, or you took a DNA test and didn't get the results that you were anticipating. And so Legacy Tree helps our clients figure out what the correct answers are there. And finally, one of our newest offerings is that we, and I think other genealogy companies do something similar as well, we offer planned heritage trips. If you know where your family's from and you'd like to have some help figuring out where to go, maybe they're from Ireland and you want to visit the church where they lived, or a school that maybe some of your ancestors attended, or the cemetery where they're buried, we help our clients do that. So all of our researchers can do one or more of these kinds of research. As to why clients hire firms specifically as opposed to freelancers, they know they're getting a few different things that teams can offer that individuals, not that they probably can't, but that it's more difficult for them. We have centralized reviews in various places so they can know that the team is trustworthy. We have a high quality product that is visually pleasing as well as functional. And we have, most of all, a collaboration of researchers and a peer review process that ensures that the work that's getting out to the clients is going to be very high quality. You're not just alone trying to figure things out on your own. You have a network of people who can help you with that. Now that you understand what it is exactly that we do, it's important to understand how a genealogy company is structured and where you might fit into that, and what kind of jobs generally are available. The division of labor kind of goes like this. We have a sales team that is usually the client's first contact with the company. They will kind of get a broad overview of what the client wants and then conduct the actual financial transaction, at which point they're handed over to a project manager. Project managers are usually genealogists or know a lot about genealogy, but they don't do the research themselves. They are the client liaison. They usually, on a daily basis, will spend time communicating with the clients, helping them figure out what their goals are, educating the clients as to what we as genealogists can and cannot do, and making sure that the project is then organized and sent to a researcher who can best handle that project. As a researcher, which is most of our employees and contractors, your day-to-day will be a lot of writing and a lot of research, whether online at the Family History Library, corresponding with churches, archives, um, writing away for records to state health departments, things like that. And then writing up the report, compiling it, getting all the documents ready for the client, and then sending it back through our editing team who will make sure that everything went the way it was supposed to. Not just looking for stray commas and misspellings, but ensuring that you followed directions and that kind of thing. And then from there, it will go on to our office staff to be printed, uploaded to the client's private webpage, and sent to them. Most of our clients purchase their research in time chunks. We've discovered it's a part of an industry standard. That's just the best way to do things. They pay for our efforts and our work for 20, 40, 60, 80 or more hours. We also offer a few smaller packages, but these are the standards. And if they would like to keep going, they can add another package. But we've found that it usually takes at least 20 hours to get back a couple generations or really start digging into a project, especially if it's a difficult one. Here is a screenshot from our website that displays some of our prices and a description of what each project consists of. And as I said, they can purchase this online through clicking the Buy Now button or by calling in, speaking to our sales team. So those are just a few of the options that we offer. And as a researcher, you would be given a portion of that time to do the research and to write the report. Now we get into the meat, which is that most of the questions I get pretty much on a daily basis revolve around how do I become a genealogist, a professional one? How do I get to the level where your company would hire me? How do I prepare? And there are a few things to keep in mind. Right now, we get a ton of applicants, and so I've had a lot of time and experience going through resumes and applications and seeing what works, what doesn't, and who's best prepared in our experience for the work that we do. First, I want to point out that formal education is something we like to see. We're flexible about what exactly it is, whether you got a bachelor's in family history from BYU, whether you did the BYU Family History Associate's degree, whether you have a certificate from Boston University, something like that. We're flexible, but we do like to see it. Education and preferably some kind of experience in the past doing professional level research. And by that, I mean writing reports, analyzing work, writing proof summaries, not just building trees or doing temple work, but really writing as if you're writing for a client. And there are a number of degree programs and credentials that you could pursue. I won't spend a lot of time on that here, but Legacy Tree has a blog post about that. And I imagine a lot of you are probably in the BYU program already. One of the other things that I would recommend from an educational standpoint is that you don't just pigeonhole yourself as a genealogist. Obviously, take a lot of the history courses. Probably most importantly, I would say writing is crucial, and that's where we see a lot of weakness in our applicants. We have a lot of people who are really knowledgeable and, you know, they can do the research, but they can't write it up in a way that is clear and disciplined and professional. So I would just practice that now. Start that. I imagine in a lot of your classes you're already doing that, but keep it up. If you can, add an English or editing minor, or at least take classes. Read a lot. Be active in the genealogy community. You could join a mentor group. The ProGen study group is also a fantastic resource. This usually comes after you've done a lot of academic study, but it's a mentored program wherein you are getting practice writing reports and such, and a credentialed professional then reviews it. You have a group that you can get feedback with and have conversations, and that is a great way to hone your skills as a professional. Another thing that we find that's really important is that it is crucial to have a broad skill set. And this may sound contradictory, but let me kind of explain. An area of expertise is necessary. You want to have something that you're really good at. And that can be, I'm really good at British research, or I'm really good at Mexican research. But don't let that be the only thing that you do. Legacy Tree likes to have our researchers take a variety of different projects. You'll get more work that way. And so if you can have more than one area of expertise, or an area of expertise and then a couple areas you're just pretty, comfortable researching in. If you pigeonhole yourself and you say, I'm an expert on Virginia research, that's great, but you probably won't find that you get much work, either freelance or on a team at a company. So if you can develop skills that would be transferable and applicable to other areas. For example, if you like Virginia research, you could do work across the entire American South, focus on learning about how to use land records, how to navigate the legal system and probate and tax, and be willing and able to tackle niche areas too. If you can do urban research or ethnic and religious minority research, if you can do DNA, we find that researchers who can only take US-based research or English research, those positions are very, very competitive. So the more that you can do to make yourself stand out, picking up a foreign language, that kind of thing, your application to most companies will look a lot better so that they can use you in a variety of ways. Like the slide says, bring something unique to the table. And again, right, I can't emphasize practicing writing and developing your writing skills. Finally, it's also really important to be tech savvy. You don't have to be able to write computer programs, but it's really, really important, especially in companies where handwritten and printing things is kind of going the way of the dodo, that you are able to navigate the Microsoft Office suite, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, to a lesser extent Excel, that you know your way around the internet, you know how to download and edit images, send emails, that kind of thing. That's just a very, very basic thing that you must be able to do and do well and efficiently. In the same vein, another question that we get frequently is what areas are in the highest demand in the industry? This does fluctuate for sure, and our hiring at Legacy Tree specifically is based on our client needs over a specific amount of time. So if we find that we're constantly getting clients who want us to do a certain kind of research, then we will look to hire a person who can help us tackle that workload. We already have several Eastern European researchers, but we are hiring another one. We find that we have numerous clients that are looking for help with their Polish, Russian, Ashkenazi Jewish, Serbian, whatever. If you can read records and do research within the Russian or Austro-Hungarian empires, you're golden and will probably always have a lot of work to do. There are a lot of Americans, especially on the East Coast these days, that have ancestry from the eastern part of Europe, and that is a big one. As I was mentioning earlier, if you're going to do the US, make sure you know how to tackle the difficult stuff, pre-1850 and colonial. Lineage societies are big, helping people join the Daughters of the American Revolution, that kind of thing, breaking down Southern brick walls. DNA can factor into that, but again, DNA is huge. Unknown parentage, non-paternal events. This is something that you will not usually get a ton of training in a typical family history or history major. You'd probably have to go outside of that and take other classes elsewhere. That doesn't mean that you can't be self-taught, but that it's a lot more intensive learning that is required to become really good at doing that, at least on a full-time basis. It's a good thing to know as a genealogist to have some basic knowledge of it as within your toolkit, so that you can make recommendations in a traditional project, something like that. Within the Southern category, we would probably have African American, and I would also add Native American. Both of these minority groups are also in high demand, especially tracing enslaved ancestors. As you can imagine, the legal and historical realities of that life can make it very, very difficult to research and trace one's ancestry, especially earlier than about 1870 in the pre-Civil War era. We have a few areas that are up and coming, meaning that in the past, these were not common areas, popular areas, but now we're increasingly seeing more and more clients that are from different countries and that are wanting research done on their ancestors from these countries, and that includes Brazil, so Portuguese speaking is great. Oceania, basically. Australia, New Zealand is big, South Africa. Latin America, we see a lot of Mexico right now. And even Asia, China and Korea, we've had clients at Legacy Tree from both of those countries, the Philippines, and even the Middle East, which can be a little bit more difficult. Turkey, Israel, Palestine, those areas are increasingly becoming popular. So if you want to kind of get ahead of the curve, you could start focusing on learning about one of those countries or the languages that are spoken there. I would say consistently needed, something we usually need researchers that can do at least these or have expertise. They are more competitive because the skill set is more common. But if you can do German research, Italian research, or Irish research, that's pretty consistently important work. I would say make sure that you can do research in those countries and not just I can work on German immigrants to the United States or Italian immigrants to the United States. Um, Make sure to familiarize yourself with the records and culture of the home country as well. And this will change. These are not necessarily, what's going to be popular for the next 5 years or what was 10 years ago. These are just areas that we have observed in the last year or two at Legacy Tree specifically, as far as client demand. We covered this just a little bit, what the average research process looks like for a researcher. And first, I guess I'll discuss kind of the difference between the employees and contractors. And I believe this is possibly true for other genealogy companies as well. As a contractor, you can usually work for multiple companies or freelance on the side. It's flexible. You can set your own schedule and wages for the most part, but you don't receive, you're in charge of paying your own taxes, and you do not usually receive any kind of benefits. Whereas our employees who work part or full time do receive usually the full-timers received health and vision and dental and all that, insurance, paid time off, paid holidays, 401k matching, that sort of thing. Even uh, a little bit of paid personal family history research time, which is fantastic. Um, the major difference there also being that if you are an employee versus a contractor, you usually will sign a non-compete, meaning that you could only work for the company that you signed the non-compete for. And that's still good because one of the benefits of working for a firm as opposed to working freelance is that we handle the marketing for you. If you're a freelancer, you have to worry about getting your name out there and handling all the talking to the clients and getting everything set up and the financial side of things. And if you're more interested in just focusing on doing the research and nothing else, then working for a company is good for you, because it'll allow you just to focus on the thing that you like and not the administrative side of things. And we'll bring the clients to you. First things first, when you are a researcher, you will receive and accept an offer from a project manager. They'll usually email you and say, hey, I have this project, and these are, this is the subject of it, and this is the goal that the client and I worked out. Are you willing to take the project, and here's the due date? And you would say yes, if you'd like it. And then typically for a 20 or 40-hour project, you have between 3 and 6 weeks to complete it, start to finish. That includes a review of the client-provided materials, say if they send you records they've already found, or if they did a write-up or they send you a copy of their ancestry tree or something like that. You review it and make sure that you come up with a research plan so that you're not duplicating work that they've already done, and you can give them the best bang for their buck. And then the actual research portion, like I said, this might be online at Family Search or Ancestry or MyHeritage. It might include offline work at libraries and archives or sending away for documents. Since we also have a robust team of on-site researchers elsewhere, maybe you might need to contact and consult with somebody in a foreign country if that's where the research is going, and figuring out what they could do and help you there. The time that you're assigned as part of the research process also must include the writing and compilation of the report and research log and documents as well. So this is one of the reasons that we really, really want our researchers to be strong writers, communicators, and managers of time, because you're going to have a limited amount of time. When you're doing research on your own for your own family, it's really simple and easy to go down rabbit holes and take as much time as you want, sometimes months or even years working on one person or one area. And that's not really something that you would have the luxury of doing as a professional. And I think that includes freelance as well. Usually your clients are paying for a set amount of time and you need to be able to get as much done in that amount of time as possible. So it's good that you go into a project already knowing where records are found, what records would be useful, how to find them, how to find a finding aid to find them, so that we can be as efficient as possible. And then compiling the research log and documents so that the client knows exactly not only what we found, but what we searched and didn't find, so that if they hire us again or hire someone else, or choose to pick up the research and go on their own, they're not wasting time by duplicating things that were already done. And then compiling copies of all the documents found so that the client can see for themselves the sources that we discussed. These are just little samples. These are shared with client permission of some of the reports that we do for our clients. And this is just to give you an idea visually of what they look like. You need to obviously be able to generate citations, be comfortable with doing that. Legacy Tree and most genealogy companies have their own preferred formats, so don't panic if you don't have, evidence explained memorized or something like that. We'll teach you the ropes and of our formatting. So just be open to learning and flexible and be familiar with things like the genealogical proof standard, and be a good genealogist, and we'll help you figure out how we would like things done, or how another company will do the same about how they would like to see you do their product, so that the idea being that all of our clients receive similar looking products. They're consistent across the board. And then we have the day in the life of the researcher, which again, I've covered a lot of this. A few important things to keep in mind too is that most researchers for companies are going to handle multiple projects at once. You won't just have one project. My current queue, for example, I have a Michigan family, I have a Mexican research project, I have I think I had an Irish one recently. So you'll have several pots in the fire kind of at the same time. And usually as a contractor especially, you can let your managers know how much you'd like to handle at once. And that can fluctuate depending on your needs, your family's needs. But typically you've got at least two going at the same time. Even though we all work from home, we do have a good system, a consultation system via email, phone, Facebook group, whatever. If you need some help, you can reach out to the other researchers on the team and say, hey, I can't really read this record. I can't see what this cause of death is. I just can't make it out. Can anyone help? And so we try to stay connected in that way. That's a very important thing, both for research quality and for morale. You might also spend time during your average day clarifying the goals with a project manager, or making sure that you're doing exactly what the client wanted and that we're giving the client the best product. On a less than average day, you might be asked to occasionally do some extra tasks. You might write a blog post about an area of your expertise that will go on our website, and our clients and Facebook people can read. You might provide consultation to other researchers. You might appear in promotional materials. You might go on webinars, kind of like I'm doing right now. We usually have a booth at Roots Tech in Salt Lake City every year, and some other conferences as well. So you might, show up to work at the booth and talk to prospective clients there. We even occasionally appear on a radio show called Extreme Genes with host Scott Fisher, and that's another fun thing that researchers with certain areas of expertise can be asked to participate in, and both get the word out on the company and just spread some good education and information about the topic at hand. So this is probably a good synopsis of what you would be doing on a regular basis as a researcher, and this applies pretty much to contractors and employees. The major difference being that employees will also have occasional meetings, usually by Skype or similar screen share feature. But the research process is pretty much the same. no matter your status in the company. If in future you're interested in job openings with Legacy Tree specifically, we have our website, legacytree.com/apply. Currently, as I mentioned, we are hiring for an Eastern European contract researcher. This would probably average 20, 25 hours a week, as low as 15 sometimes. So if you or someone you know is great at Polish or Serbian or Russian Empire research, please apply. We would love to have you. We'll also be opening up, actually we have already opened it, a DNA internship that should be going this fall. You can do it for academic credit or not. If you would just like to learn more about DNA, we ask that you have some genealogical training and that you have some basic understanding of DNA before applying, but that's also on our legacytree.com/apply website if you'd like to get involved in that. Most of our job openings are also posted on social media in various places and sent out through the BYU Family History Alumni Group. So check, if you're not part of the Genealogy Jobs or Next Gen Genealogy Network Facebook groups, those are good groups to join, as are the Family History alumni groups for BYU and BYU Idaho. For other genealogy companies, they have their career pages as well, but these Facebook groups are often quite useful. So I would welcome any questions if you guys would like to submit them. Thank you so much. I know that there's a lot to cover and didn't want to talk your ear off, but I'm happy to help. And if you have questions you think of later, feel free to email me at the email address listed on your screen.
All right, thank you so much, everybody, for your time. We're open to questions now, so you can submit that on the left side of the screen, as well as any other comments or insights that you've had throughout the webinar. So we'll leave that open for just a couple more minutes, and then we'll make sure that everyone's questions get answered.
Okay, Heather M asks, what is the ratio of research to writing for a project? That is a very good question. That will kind of fluctuate depending on your skill level and comfort with writing. Some people are just more efficient, better writers than others. For someone who is pretty comfortable and experienced, I'd probably say 2/3 research, 1/3 writing. But for some people that can flip-flop. It's just kind of, some people do a 50-50 split. The writing does take quite a big amount of time, especially when you're first learning how to write a professional report or do it in our format. Linda says, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that you showed up and asked questions. Helen says, if applying to be a contract researcher, is it helpful to have a genealogist accreditation? Yes, definitely. It's always helpful. Like I said, we like to see a combination of experience, but an accreditation definitely will go far. Helen says, do you recommend an accreditation such as from ICAP Gen or other? Like I said, we're pretty flexible. We don't have a preference. You could do the AG through ICAP Gen or the CG through the Board for the Certification of Genealogists. Those are the two primary ones from the United States. If you're going to do an accreditation, I would recommend that. The tests are pretty rigorous, but I guess if you've done if you've been through a BYU program, you're probably pretty close to being qualified for it. Yeah, I mean, that's something worth pursuing for sure. You don't need one to work for a genealogy company. I should make that clear. But they can be helpful. They're a good, quick way for us to know that, you probably know what you're doing.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. We hope that this webinar has been a valuable use of your time. If you could take a moment to provide your thoughts on today's experience, we'd really appreciate it. You're more than welcome to suggest future ideas for webinars on the left side of the screen. And if you need to email us, our email is fhl_webinars@byu.edu. And don't forget, we have added those new links to our website. So if you can't access YouTube in your Family History Center or at church, you're welcome to check out those new links and be able to view those videos without YouTube. Our next webinar will be Friday the 17th at 4 p.m. with James Tanner. He's giving a presentation entitled A Family History Mission, Digitizing Records for Family Search. And thank you so much. We hope that you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.